Hello, everyone. I'm Sid. I work on robots. I've been working on them since 1999. It's been a long time. I spent 18 of those years at the Robotics Institute at Carnegie Mellon, and I'm now at the University of Washington. I work with a really fantastic team inventing the future of personal robots. But today I'm not going to talk about robots. There's going to be no math, no theorems I'm going to prove, no cool robot videos. Instead, I'm going to talk about something even more important. I'm going to talk today about a question that I get asked really often. In some ways, it is the question that one should ask, and I'm going to motivate to you why you should be asking that question and why hopefully I can give you some answers to that question, which is very simply, what should I work on? It's the extent of my PowerPoint animation right there. I get asked this question often, and I've asked this question myself quite often by undergrads wanting to know what major to take, grads wanting to know what PhD topic to work on, postdocs wanting to know how to become faculty, faculty wanting to know how to get promoted, and recently by VCs wanting to know what companies they should be starting or investing in, and major corporations wanting to know what they should be really doubling down on. Now, each of these scenarios is very different, but the fundamental question is the same. What should I work on? Now, there's a lot of material on how should I work. If you scan the literature, there's an immense amount of material that talks about how you should be working on something once you know what you should be working on. That's what classes are for, and books on time management, leadership, running a half marathon. But there's a fundamental assumption that they make that you actually know what you want to work on. So the marathon books know that you want to run a marathon. Your classes know that you want to learn more about robotics or computer architecture or something else. Today we'll talk about, and I'm going to tell you how to figure out what you should work on. So first of all, I'll give you a giant disclaimer. The answer is I have no idea. Actually, I do, but I don't know you. You probably don't know me. So take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt and think for yourself. Read books, ask people, question the questions that I'm asking, but really think for yourself. And what I'm going to help you with today are my mechanisms for figuring out what I work on. I hope you'll find them useful. So without further ado, here's how I look at it. Here's the answer. There are fundamentally two circles here. One circle are your unique skills, what you and only you can do, what you're a subject matter expert of, and the best in the world in. So all of you know what that is and what you're really, really good at. There's another circle in this Venn diagram. That's what your ecosystem values. What does your ecosystem care the most about? Now, your ecosystem might be your peers, your university, your company. Well, it might even be yourself, but you really need to understand what your ecosystem cares about. And here's the answer. Work at the intersection of what your ecosystem values the most and what skills you can uniquely offer. That's it. Now let's analyze what happens if you don't. Let's look at the complements of these two sets in your Venn diagram. Let's take the first complement. If you work on just value, that is not in your expertise, then you're out of your depth and will be surpassed, or worse, you'll be mediocre. In many ways, this is like the deep learning computer vision community lately, after I've scanned through the latest CVPR. There's clarity on what's important, for sure, but there's such a gold rush that there isn't patience to actually develop the skills that you need to answer those questions meaningfully. So in effect, you're just a zombie. You know what's important. Human brains are important for nourishment, but you're just like all the other zombies wandering around in search of brains. Now let's look at the other complement. If you work just on skills, no one will care about your output. You might be successful based on maybe your personal values, happiness, publications, even best paper awards. Another aside, it's interesting how we often award best paper awards to good papers that threaten us the least. This set falls exclusively in that category. But unfortunately, your impact on the world will be minimal. This is kind of like most things you can buy at Etsy. Yes, it's very artisanal, but I don't know how useful that would be. I'd like you to avoid both, but between the two, I actually prefer the one with the skills. At least there's some capabilities there. But the real magic happens at the intersection of these two sets. Here, you're the best in the world at something that the world truly cares about. There are several benefits to this. First, resources. People are willing to invest a lot in things that are valuable. They know you can deliver. So it has to be valuable, and they know you can deliver. Students will want to work on these things. Funding agencies will want to fund them. Industries will want to collaborate with you. All good. Second, and related, is leverage. People are willing to bet on you long term because of the expected value of your involvement. And that's valuable currency. And you can set up relationships for long-term success. Third, as I've seen myself, is personal mobility. If the intersection is large enough, then there are many people who are willing to invest in your success. So you're not tied to one place. You can start a company if you wish. You can go be faculty in a top school if you wish. You can go work with a large company if you wish. You can do whatever you want. This freedom liberates you to work on things that you care about the most and helps expand the intersection even further. All right, now it's time for some homework. This is usually when I pause my lecture and give you interactive questions. Write down the names of 3 people who you think are working at the intersection. Write down 3 others who you think are zombies, and 3 more who you think are Etsy's. Where do you think you belong? Just think about that super honestly. Pause this video and think about it, and do your homework right now. All right, are we done now? Not quite. There are 2 problems I often see in executing this strategy: clarity and growth. Now let's focus on clarity first. I drew this beautiful, sharp, and clear Venn diagram. But usually, this diagram in our heads looks more like this. It's out of focus, it's fuzzy. As a result, even with your best intentions of working at the intersection, you may be way off because you actually haven't identified the boundaries clearly enough. Right? You want to work on the intersection, but you don't know what the boundaries are. So now again, let's look at the fuzziness of each of these sets. On the value side, the issue is often partial observability. It's hard to tell what your ecosystem values the most because the ecosystem might not be telling you openly. When I want to gain clarity about the values of my ecosystem, I go to the subject matter expert in my ecosystem and ask them, what is the hardest problem in your field? This gives me great clarity. As another aside, this is one of my favorite interview questions to faculty. The wrong answer is to try and sell me your problem. Please don't do that. It's remarkable also how infrequently people ask this really important question. What's the hardest problem in your field? So again, identify subject matter experts in your field. Go ask them what's really, really hard. And that helps you identify what the boundaries are of what your ecosystem values the most. On the skill side, The issue is often a lack of self-awareness. This is particularly true in academia. We are violently self-not aware. People under and overestimate their skills, and most importantly, often don't know who they want to be. This is another favorite interview question of mine, which is, what do you really want to do? I'm going to defer to the experts on self-awareness, go read some books on that. But here is one example that I often encounter: the mercenary and the monarch. Most academics are either mercenaries or monarchs. The statement is probably true of humans in general, but I'm going to stick to the humans I encounter the most, my fellow academics. People often say someone is a doer or a thinker, but this here is more about who you are rather than how you express yourself. A mercenary is impatient for action. They seek clarity by diving deep into a problem and getting to the bottom of it. Mercenaries really like reward, whatever that reward might be. A monarch provides vision. They seek clarity by thinking big and imagining a new world and convincing others that such a world is important. Monarchs, most monarchs that I know, seek power. I am a mercenary. I love building robots more than most things in the world. These days, I'm more of a general, managing mercenaries, but they can attest I'm pretty handy on the field. I often tell monarchs which of their visions are attainable and which are not, but I definitely do not ever want to be one. That's clarity for me. Mercenaries can sometimes be guilted into being monarchs. I know many department chairs are good examples of that. They're miserable. Monarchs sometimes pretend to be mercenaries, often to comical effect. All of that finery is not very useful in the messy heat of battle. I am convinced that we're born either as mercenaries or monarchs and spend most of our lifetime discovering which of the two we are. All right, more homework. Write down 3 mercenaries you know and 3 monarchs. Again, where do you think you land? Finally, I'm going to talk about growth. The Venn diagram that I showed you is ever changing. It could grow or shrink, and it's all really in your hands. On the skill side, you cannot grow your skills if you do not have the time and the determination to want to. Time is important, so is determination. I try to be very deliberative in my choices. I say no to a lot. To talks, especially to talks. I hate giving talks unless I have something to say. Growing a new muscle is painful. And so as you grow, it's okay to expect challenges. For example, right now, I'm learning to be a better general, to build large organizations that can deliver at scale and really move the stock price of $1 trillion company. It's been fun, but because of that commitment that I've taken on very deliberatively, I've had to say no to many other things, many of them super fun. Tracking and predicting the growth of your ecosystem is also critical. If you're building something that's going to be realized in, say, 3 years, ask yourself, what will the state of supporting technology be at that point? For example, the progress we're making in, let's say, natural language processing makes me believe that we'll be able to converse meaningfully with our robots in 3 years. Now I keep asking myself, how should I intercept that curve? What should I be building alongside that technology such that when put together, we can actually bring a lot of value to our ecosystem? So there you have it. That's all I have to say. Work at the intersection of values and skill. And please do feel free to contact me anytime you have any questions. Good luck, and hope you have great time doing this.